You did it again this morning. You saw someone's photo, a vacation, a promotion, a body, a house, and before you could stop yourself, you felt it. That quiet drop in the chest, that small sour sting. You told yourself it was nothing. You kept scrolling. But the feeling stayed. And the strangest part? You already knew your life was fine. So why did looking at someone else's make it feel less? The real answer is far stranger than jealousy. It goes back hundreds of thousands of years to a version of you that had no choice but to compare, because comparing wasn't a flaw. It was how you stayed alive. Your brain is running ancient software on a modern problem, and once you understand what that software was actually designed to do, the comparison reflex will never feel the same again. Let's go back about 150,000 years. You are a human, not a comfortable one, a scared one. You live in a group of roughly 50 to 150 people. You have no money, no legal system, no internet, no guaranteed food source. What you do have is the group, and the group is everything. If the group rejects you, you die. It is that simple and that brutal. Alone on the savannah, you last about 3 days. So your brain developed one core obsession. Where do I stand? Not where do I stand morally, not where do I stand spiritually, where do I stand in this group right now relative to the people around me? Am I useful enough to keep? Am I strong enough to matter? Am I falling behind in a way that might get me cut? This is what psychologists call social comparison theory. Leon Festinger first named it in 1954. He argued that humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate their opinions and abilities, and that in the absence of objective standards, we evaluate them by comparing ourselves to others. Festinger was describing something every person experiences, but he was also, without fully realizing it, describing a survival mechanism that predates civilization by tens of thousands of years. Comparing yourself to others wasn't a personality flaw your ancestors had. It was the cognitive tool that kept them embedded in the group. The ones who didn't compare, who had no instinct to monitor their status, no sensitivity to falling behind, were the ones most likely to miss the social cues that got them excluded. Their genes largely didn't make it here. Your social comparison instinct is the inheritance of every ancestor who paid close enough attention to survive. Here is what makes this so uncomfortable in the modern world. The mechanism evolved for a group of 50 to 150 people, people you actually knew, people whose lives you could accurately see in full. If someone in your group had more food than you knew exactly why. They were a better hunter, or they found a tree you hadn't found. The comparison was real, it was local, and it came with actual information you could use. Now think about what happens when you open your phone. You are suddenly, instantaneously exposed to thousands of people, not the full picture of their lives, carefully curated highlights, the promotion they got, not the 3 they were passed over for, the vacation photo, not the debt used to pay for it, the body after the filter, not the body before it. Your ancient comparison system was never designed for this scale or this distortion. It was designed to read real social data, and now it is reading theater. This is what researcher Philippa Lally at University College London would recognize as a mismatch problem. The environment has changed faster than the brain's hardware could update. You are running a 150,000-year-old threat detection system against a feed that has been algorithmically engineered to make everyone else look better than they are, and your brain doesn't know the difference. There's another layer. Psychologists distinguish between 2 types of social comparison: upward comparison, measuring yourself against people doing better, and downward comparison, measuring yourself against people doing worse. Your instinct when you're threatened is to do both, but for different reasons. Upward comparison is what hurts, seeing someone richer, fitter, more successful, more liked. But here is what's counterintuitive. Upward comparison is also what motivated your ancestors to improve. If the strongest hunter in your group was bringing back more food, watching him, studying him, measuring yourself against him, gave you a benchmark. It told you what was possible. It told you where to aim. The problem isn't upward comparison. The problem is upward comparison with no pathway to action. In a tribe, if someone was a better hunter, you could follow them. You could learn. You could practice. The gap between you and them was closable. On a social media feed, when you compare yourself to a celebrity or a curated stranger, the gap is often not just unclosable, it isn't even real. You are comparing your interior life to someone else's exterior performance, and your brain keeps scanning for the threat anyway, burning cortisol and dimming your mood because it hasn't been told the hunt is fake. Researcher Thomas Musweiler at the University of Cologne spent years studying the mechanics of social comparison and found something remarkable. The speed at which comparison happens is almost instantaneous. Within milliseconds of seeing another person, your brain has already begun assessing similarity and difference. This is not a conscious choice you make, it is a reflex, a background process running constantly, the way your heartbeat runs without your permission. You cannot turn it off, but you can understand what it's doing. Here is the part that changes everything. Comparison is not always self-defeating. In its original form, it was a calibration system. It told you, here is the standard. Here is what good looks like in this context. Here is what you need to do to belong. That's not cruelty. That's information. The issue is that modern life has broken the feedback loop. In a small tribe, comparison led directly to response. I see that person is better fed than me. I will try a new hunting ground tomorrow. I see that person is more respected in the group. I will take on a harder task and prove my value. The comparison had a destination. It produced action or adaptation. What social media comparison usually produces is neither. It produces a low-grade, chronic sense of inadequacy with no outlet and no enemy you can name. Your brain scans the threat, releases a mild stress response, and then, because there's no actual predator, no real social hierarchy you can navigate, the energy has nowhere to go. It just sits, and you scroll again. This is why psychologist Sonia Lyubomirsky's research found that people who compare frequently report significantly lower life satisfaction, not because they have worse lives, but because their calibration system is perpetually misfiring against data it was never designed to read. There is one more thing your ancestors understood that modern life has mostly erased. Comparison in a tribe was always visible. If you were sizing up the strongest person in your group, they could see you watching. You could see them watching you back. The comparison was mutual, it was social, it happened inside a relationship with real stakes and real feedback. It kept both people honest. What you do alone on your phone is something different. It is invisible, one-directional, and asymmetric. The person you're measuring yourself against has no idea you exist. They cannot confirm or deny the story you're building about them. They cannot give you the real information that would complete the comparison. You are filling the gaps with your worst assumptions about yourself and their best assumptions about them. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is just doing it in the wrong place, with wrong data, at a scale that would have been unimaginable to every version of you that came before. So the next time you feel that quiet drop in the chest, that small sour sting, you don't have to call it jealousy. You don't have to call it weakness. You can call it what it actually is, a very old system doing a very old job in a world it was never trained to handle. The drive to compare is not your flaw, it is your inheritance. The question your ancestors never had to answer, and the one only you can answer, is this. What are you going to do with the information once you know the hunt is fake? Tonight, you'll open your phone again, you'll see someone's photo, a vacation, a promotion, a body, a house, and before you can stop yourself, you'll feel it. That quiet drop, that small sting. But now you'll know exactly what's happening. And knowing, it turns out, is the only thing in 150,000 years that was ever powerful enough to change it.